Builders love to hear what other builders are doing. All right, so you're about to hear from a builder who is also a developer, who also came to this exact event back in Sydney in September last year, and he's gonna share what he's been doing. He's got plenty of stories. So Claudio, over to you, mate.
Thanks, mate. Thanks, Kurt. Okay, guys. So basically, Kurt took my opening line. I was here last September. And anyway, we'll get to that. So we're going to go through a couple of things here. Hopefully we get through all of them. The boring stuff's at the top. The good stuff's down the bottom. Okay, so we'll get to that. But just so you can get an understanding of who I am and how I sort of got here, we got to go through the hard stuff. Okay, so my name's Claudio Alarcon. I run a business called Base Project Management. Basically, started Base 5 years ago, and but my history is originally in design. So I started as a building designer about 30 odd years ago, and worked for architectural firms and the like. Didn't really like the arty-fartiness of the design, and then I like the intricacies of putting things together and how it all came together. So I moved into structural drafting. Worked for a multidisciplinary firm for about 13, 14 years in a few different places, basically doing civil, hydraulic and structural design, and ended up being the drafting manager at a firm for about 7 years. Basically, my job was to coordinate in tier one type projects where the mechanics was coming in, the electrical and the plumbing, and make sure there was no clashes and all that type of stuff, but also doing the structural elements of the build. So like for high-rise buildings, all the structural design, detailing and all that type of stuff is pretty much where my niche was in that realm. And because I ended up as the drafting manager, I didn't end up doing what I actually loved, which was the detailing. I was more then managing people and that type of thing. So I thought at that point in time, I hit a ceiling, and I thought, no, there's more that I can give, there's more that I want to know. So I moved across the other side of the fence and went into the building game. Did a building and project management degree, and after doing that, I got into tier one type building scope, doing construction management. So I started as a project engineer, moved my way up to project management and the like, and then ended up being a construction manager for tier one builder, and was quite comfortable there. We did that for about 15 years as well. So putting those two skill sets together, I've always been interested in doing developments, and I ended up working for a couple of developers near the end of my building career, where they were the developer and I was the building arm to the development business. But through that, I ended up doing the development management per se, which is basically they'd buy a lot, they've got the money, they buy the lot, they give it to me, and then I'll go through the design process, deal with all the consultants, put the team together, create a product that's going to be viable and feasible to build and make money from. And it's typically like 6-story to 8-story, 12-story buildings, that type of thing. And then basically procure the job as well and have a team of guys doing the procurement and what have you, and then we'd build it as well. So it was all internal. So it was quite good to, for me and my skill set, where I came from, and put all of that together and create these things for these developers. Basically did that for, in total, 15 years. So all up, practically 30 years of in the construction industry, both these tiers, and turning that into my own business was obviously key for me, because you know what it's like when you're doing all that work for someone else, they're making the big dollars. Not to say that I wasn't making good money, but it's not the same. So basically the whole reason why we created Base was so that we can build for ourselves, but with the long-term goal of literally doing our own developments and only having ourselves as a client. because we work for clients for a long time, and you know what it's like. It's, you know, it's a lot of your time and effort in coming up and maintaining clients happy, in a sense. And basically, yeah, we just want to build for ourselves, control the whole aspect of everything, and go from there. So from that, so my story, like Kurt said, yes, last September I was at an event exactly the same as this. The reason why I went there is because I didn't feel within myself that I was experienced or knowledgeable enough to do developments. Even though I'd done 15 years of developments for other people, I don't know, my mindset wasn't there. I thought things were unattainable. I complicated myself in my mindset, in my processes, and I wanted to know and see whether I did have what it took or not. So when I came to the course last September, it was very similar to this, and everyone went through all their parts of the processes, and I started finding that I had the knowledge that they were providing to me. And through my experiences, I pretty much knew what they were telling me already. So for me, what they gave me is a complete mindset change. Okay, so it was like, I mean, we had a speaker before, John McGrath, and he said it's the sliding door moments in your life that change everything. Well, that for me was a big sliding door moment in me realizing that, yes, I am capable, I can do this. It's just myself that's holding the process back. So it wasn't really the information that was being provided. It was my own self and my own mindset, and I had to change that and do something about it. So that was literally last September. So since then, we've done something about it. So I went to that course, and we'll go through it in a bit more detail, just a little bit in the next slide. But since then, we've got two developments, and one is a Kuma development, which is used to be a 9-room backpacker, which was sitting in the market for quite a while. And we've converted that into an 11-room backpacker with en-suites. And then the other project is actually in preliminary plan stages at the moment, design stages. And it's going to be a 54 apartment complex with 38-room hotel room as well, also in Kuma. So I don't know whether you know Kuma, it's like on the way literally to the snow. A lot of people from Sydney and the like stop over in Kuma because it's like almost a 3/4 way stop. It's 4.5 hours, 5-hour type travel. So they stop through there. And the reason why we picked Kuma is because at that time I was development managing a client's project. So they're a developer. They had purchased a pub in Kuma in the main street, and they engaged us to do development management for them, to give them a prospect of what to do with the place and how to then create more commercial returns. So we converted that pub, completely stripped it out, and converted it into 3 separate tenancies so that you can have 3 different yields coming in. And then at the back there was a garage, and we converted that garage into a self-contained apartment. So while we were there, it was about a year's worth of work. I was snooping around the town and seeing what it had to offer, and that's when we came across this site, the first one, which is the Massey Street site. So basically this here is, I'll show you through here actually. So this one here is the original site. So it was a 9-room development, and then through here you had shared facilities for male and female, and a garage at the back. Okay, so I redesigned that even before thinking of purchasing it, because when you're interested in properties, you just do things because you like it. I do a lot of things because I like, but now it's time to take action. So I got that plan, designed it up. I think it was 2-3 months before I even went to the course, because I was still in that doubting myself phase. Redesigned it all, and basically turned it into all these grey ones are all bedrooms with en-suites. And then there's a thoroughfare through here that can segregate this area. There's a thoroughfare through here that segregates this area, so that you can compartmentalize each of the areas into families or whatever, and it has a lot of mixed use. And then I included then a living area and opened up the kitchen so that they can talk to each other through there, and then introduced a laundry area with a bathroom and made it a complete facility. The back room over here is classified as a caretakers, and basically that's a self-contained unit which is accessible through the back on its own. So that gives you the full functioning new redesign. And basically for us, before purchasing this site, we did a lot of groundwork. Because I was still in that hesitant phase where I wasn't sure whether I can do this or not, I try to get as many things done up front before even purchasing the property so that I can be a self-guard myself. And I pretty much did the whole design. And if you look on the next slide there, that's the original design. Like literally my drawing from back then, it's dated because they're just my habits. I dated everything and keep a record of everything. So 17th of the 5th, 23 is literally when I did the design at home, sketched it all up. I had no idea whether I could build it, even buy it or anything, but we're all dreamers. We like to dream, and that's part of the process. And so I put all this together and literally outlined what things I thought would be of possible issues or concerns down the bottom there. If you look there, I got firewalls, acoustics, parking, might trigger some things, some wall types that they might give you a good solution for fire rating, all that type of stuff. And I've already had back then, which is the 1st of the 7th, a meeting with my certifier and my town planner. So because I was in the commercial realm for so long, I had really good contact and around me, and I had good town planners, good architects and the like. And so I got those guys in, said, what do you think of this concept? Do you think this will work? What implication could there be? If we went ahead with this, what do you foresee? That type of stuff. So that's literally the site there. See, an old, decrepit old building. But all I saw was great potential, and now basically that's now converted. Externally, we've done a first coat of paint. Internally, we literally stripped out the whole site, took out all the plumbing, all the electrical, all the mechanical, everything that is gone now. Because I didn't want to have any implications 2 years' time where the electrical goes and blows the house up and it goes to fire or something. So I just wanted to be clear and concise and very protective of our first development being done right. So we stripped the bare bones, put all the new walls in. It's literally ready for sheeting now. We've insulated. We've gone through a few speed humps going through the process, which, look, we're all in building. We should expect that. I don't think we've ever done a job where it's gone smooth sailing from start to finish. That won't happen either with a development. There's always going to be something. It's just you've got to be prepared to hit that problem head on and find a solution. As long as you keep moving forward and you don't stop, there's no reason why you can't complete the project. And if you have that as a mindset, then you'll move forward. So basically, the first hurdle we had, I'll tell you a little bit about how we actually purchased this so that you can get an understanding, because we're not billionaires. We're just like you. I was sitting in their chairs 8 months ago. Same thing. We have a couple of properties of our own. We're going through a phase where we're actually looking at consolidating the loans and refinancing, and just happened that this block came up at the same time. So in the middle of the paperwork to refinance, and then the broker said to me, oh, you got good equity here. Do you want extra money? You know, they always try and give you extra money when you don't need it. And at the time I thought about it and I didn't know whether I wanted to go ahead with that or not. But then this came up, and in discussions with the big boss, we sort of agreed that, well, let's look at how much they can give us. And if there's sufficient amount to purchase this, then maybe it might be a goer. So we went through the process, and luckily for us, there was enough equity to purchase the property and to have a surplus of about 50 or 60,000 on top of that. And I said, great. that's going to allow us to purchase the property, leave the 50, 60 grand aside so that over the build period, it's paying the property off, and we're not paying it off ourselves with our own money. And it should last us a good 12 months. So we've got a 12-month period to have the project start to finish, completed, and handed over. And we'll talk about the handover in a second as well, because the whole reason why we ended up committing to this is because the handover was very important for us to have in place before we purchased. So this is all before we purchased, okay? So we decided to purchase in the end because being in town for over 12 months, you get to know the locals. It's a small community, everyone talks and whatever. And, I was asking questions about this property and whatever. It used to be an old backpackers. It's been run down. It's been down for 2-3 years. No one's lived in it, that type of stuff. And, but I did notice we were there through the ski season. And seriously, if I hadn't been there, I wouldn't believe the fact that that main road down Cooma is like peak hour traffic for about 4 months straight. Cars just going up to the mountains non-stop. There's no accommodation. Accommodation goes through the roof. Something that costs you $120 a night is like at $500-600 because there's nothing available. And in the town, there's only motels. They're very run down, 30, 40 years old, bad carpets, no heating. You'd stay there and you'd freeze yourself because it's very, very bad quality. And then you have also Snowy Hydro doing the hydro works about an hour away, and even they don't have accommodation. They have little cubicles in certain lots that they've just plotted there, and then they stay in little cubicle type accommodation. And then so we did two things. One, I Googled through LinkedIn who's running Snowy Hydro at the moment, and came up with the name. But we also went to the Chamber of Commerce in Cooma and had a conversation with them and said, look, we're looking at doing this. Who do you think we should speak to? And they gave us really good feedback. And plus, because the community is so small, they have monthly meetings and Snowy Hydro goes to these meetings. So then they gave me good contacts. I contacted these guys, and one of their affiliates for Snowy Hydro 2, which is FutureGen, they been looking for accommodation for a long time. So I put the proposal to them, and we came to an agreement that for a 5-year lease of renting each room individually for $400 a week for a 5-year period, and if I was ready by the end of this year, they'd take that on. No brainer, yeah? But it wasn't, because I had to go to his course to clarify and to have the confidence in doing this for myself. And that's me, 15 years experience in doing this for other people. And the mind just wasn't letting go of the block. I'm sure you've all gone through blockages and stopped yourself from doing things that maybe you're more than capable of doing. Well, this was a massive moment for us in that sense. So basically, after going to the course, gaining the confidence and going through this process 2-3 months before that, we took the project on. Like I said, we're at basically at gyprocking stage now, and the issues that we've had with this development. So we got the money to buy the property, which was great. The next stage was how much we needed to complete it. So we ran, like a couple of the guys said before, through the company. We were sort of selling from Peter to pay Paul type scenario and making this work. But then we needed extra funding. We needed about an extra $200K to finish the job. So I went to another mate of mine who I knew for a long time, who's a broker now. He used to work for NAB, and then he went out on his own and started his own brokerage firm. And asked him, can you give me a hand with this? How are we going to make this work? I found out through that process that banks don't typically like backpackers as a development, which was nice to have known beforehand. But his experience and knowledge got us through over the line when he waved his magic wand and got us the extra $200K to complete the works, which was great. We were up and running. Let's get moving. No, we stopped again because the fire engineer and the certifier were in cahoots with each other because the fire engineer was proposing for us just to put sprinklers in the development and that should suffice. The fire brigade had a different opinion and they didn't want a bar of it, which put me in a bit of a pickle, and we stopped, I think, on the project for about 3 months. Nothing happened, and we're trying to find a solution. And that was something that could turn the project over and stop it completely. So putting all our minds together, and with the experience and knowledge that I've had from doing these fire rating type developments in the past, we came up with a couple of solutions. Basically, they wanted to compartmentalise every room individually within itself. Okay, so we had timber floor and no walls, and really beautiful ceilings that I didn't want to touch because I wanted to keep the aesthetics of the building. And how we're going to resolve this. So basically what we came up with as a team was we were going to fire rate all the walls. We're going to put fire rated flooring on, like a fibre cement sheet flooring that gives you a 1 hour rating on the floor on top of the timber floor. And then you've got this paint that's a 1 hour fire rated paint that's a fire paint that I found out. I had no idea that existed. Yeah, it costs a bit of money. It's going to cost me money to do all these extra bits and pieces, but it's a lot less than the job not going through or stopping for another 2 or 3 months. The costs involved in that are a lot higher. So we put the proposal to the certifier. They accepted it because it went from having, it came back to a deemed to satisfy type scenario. And now we're back and running. And that's literally a week ago this happened. So now I've got to put my long johns on and whatever, and we're going to get straight back out there and get this thing finished. But basically, long story short, from the start to finish, the process hasn't been straight line, easy going, and a developer's so easy to do. No, it's not. But it never has been. The people who say that social media crap, it's not real. The reality is what you live every day. Even in construction companies, like what you do every day, there's always going to be a problem. There's always going to be a solution to that problem. It's whether your mindset's going to allow you to find that solution. And luckily for us, this turned out right. We're onto it in a couple of months' time. We'll mostly have this thing finished. We can hand it over and happy days. So that's in a gist, that first development. But I'll just go back one note because I think I missed a couple of things in my statement. So yeah, so you saw the look of it. So typically a heritage building isn't something you really want to touch. But I found out that in this instance, because we were keeping it in its original state, it would have been more of an advantage for us for it to have been heritage building than not. The reason being is because with the way it is now, it has to come up and comply with the current BCA and Australian standards. But if it had been heritage, I found out that because it's heritage, if it was heritage, then it could have skipped a lot of these fire rating things because we've got to keep it with its current integrity and try and maintain the integrity of the building as it was. So it would have been more of an advantage for us for that to have been the case. The other thing is certain councils, depending on where they are, if it is a heritage building, they can also contribute to the rebuilding of the building as well because they want it to come back to its original state as well. So just keep that in mind, that not always heritage buildings are something that you should stay away from.
So because his renovation is over 60% of his existing, then it has to comply with this code this year, isn't it right?
Correct, yeah, it's over, yeah. And also, if this had been, this is 340 square metres. If it had been 300 or under, then it'd be classified as something different to a backpackers. It would be more like a boarding house, and I wouldn't have needed the compliance either. Yeah, exactly. So look, and 100%, and that's my mindset as well. We've got sprinklers in the place. It's fully fire rated. You got new everything. I'm going to be sleeping very well at night because I know that everything that's here is literally done properly. And yeah, it's going to cost you a little bit more money. But the whole point of this, because we're keeping it long term, the initial costings, we're not looking at making a quick buck off this. It's long term. And basically long term, this whole product is going to pay itself off within a 3-year period. So we'll just go to that now. So we purchased the property for $375,000, which I think was a bargain. I mean, you can't even buy a house in Coombe for that much. And this is dead centre in the middle of town, like one street off the main street. Cop shop across the road. You got Woolies down the corner. You got pubs all the way around you. Main shopping centres 200 metres away. So renovation costs going to cost us in total about $350. That's with contingency. The rental returns per room per week are $400.
How do you work that out as a percentage of how regularly they'll be booked, or are they doing?
No, they're not booked. So we're leasing this out to one client, which then they bring their people in and out, fly them in and out, and they manage the process. So we, as the owners, charge them a lease. Pardon?
It's for the employees.
Correct. It's for the employees.
So
Correct.
guaranteed returns.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, for 5 years. So the total cost is like $725,000, and our total returns per year is just under $230,000. So if you do the sums there, in under the 5-year mark, you should have that whole thing paid off, and it becomes a passive income, which is key. That's what you want. As a developer, you want to create passive income. The whole passive income is that you'll be sleeping and you're making money. That's what you want to do.
And this is, sorry, just so I could just say, and you knew this before you came to that event.
Yeah.
You were second guessing yourself.
Hey, you can't blame me. It's here. Yeah, 100%. You're not wrong. It's so true. It's just your mind. It's yourself. You're fighting with yourself all the time. I can't do that. They do this. You know what I mean? Look at social media these days. What does that tell you? Oh, everyone's a great life. Look at me. I'm working like a dog. It's the same thing. It's just society these days. It blocks your mind. But if you can overcome that, which is your biggest hurdle, anyone can do this. You guys can do this. I mean, I was you 7 months ago. And then who knows how you could, and if you don't know a lot of these things, you can get people who do know these things to help you out and to get you through the process. So that's our first development.
So
That,
can I ask, like you said, you have a few properties to get enough equity?
so we just have 2 houses.
Yeah.
So we have a primary residence.
Yeah. If you don't have any equity or nothing.
I will get to that. We're going to talk about that. This is the next project. So this is our next project. So we do all in-house architecture. We do our own in-house rendering and all that type of stuff. But basically, this development is also in Coombe. So once again, because we've been there so long, we've know the town quite well. And so we're a street this way with the first development, a street the opposite way. The decrepit building as well. It was an old pub that's been just abandoned for a very long time, 5, maybe 7 years. And it's been sitting there for a long time. I found out who the owner of this is all off market. The other one was on market. It was actually advertised. This one's off market. It was just sitting there, no signs on it, nothing. So now I got excited. So I went about looking for other things. It's like the red car syndrome, you know what I mean? You drove here, you didn't see one red car, but you can drive home, you can see 10, 20, 30 maybe, because it's in your mind now. So what I did is started looking around, found this site. I go, this site's awesome. It was like 3,000 square meters and an abandoned type lot. I found out who the owner was. I had a couple of meetings with him, and it was sort of like in retirement age type thing, had built up his wealth doing developments and stuff like that, and just left things to just sit there and not worry about. So I had a couple of meetings with him over maybe a 2-month period, toing and throwing, and say, would you sell it? What this, what that? Would you do this? Would you do that? Anyway, I couldn't purchase this. I can't afford it. We just spend all our money on the other development. But in the history of what I used to do previously in development management, we used to buy a lot of properties with no money. And basically what you do is you do an option agreement for the property. So I'll explain that to you. So basically what I did, this is literally what I did with this site. Once the the owner was happy to negotiate and come to an agreement, he put a price in and we did a quick visa to make sure we were happy with that. And basically we purchased the property for $1 million on an option agreement. And what that means is we get the option is subject to an approval process. So we get 12-month period to obtain an approval for a development, which is literally this. So we bought this maybe a couple of months ago. And in that 2-month period, obviously we worked pretty hard to get a design done, to get floor plans done, to get FISOs done. I got a QS to price for me off the plans, what it will cost for us to build it. I went to real estate agencies and talked to them about what the current yields are per square meter if we were to sell them, and then put everything together and came up with like a full package product that we can send for a DA. We talked to council 2 or 3 times. We went to Chamber of Commerce again. We showed this proposal to them, and there was a room maybe of 20 people, same as you guys, and they all applauded the proposal because no one wants the eyesore of having this old building there that's been there 10 years doing the same thing, just sitting there rotting away. Okay, so all that's background work because I'm very conservative in my nature, and I'm going to be the same in my developments. And with an option agreement, you get that 12-month period, which to me is a comfortable time frame to go through this process, to do all the homework in the background. We've done a pre-application meeting with the council. They're happy with the proposal. All I need now is to get my traffic guys to finish their traffic reporting and accessibility report for disabled access and all that type of stuff. Make sure we're ticking all those boxes before we then submit it maybe by the end of this month. And we're hoping to receive a response on that before the end of the year. Now, if that all comes to fruition and happens, then the project is then ready to go. But what we've just done in doing that is the $1 million that we've offered as an option agreement with an approved DA for 54 apartments plus 38 hotel rooms. It's just appreciated the value of the land. Okay, so that value of land now has gone from $1 million to about 2.4 million. Okay, so that's the proposal there. So purchase a site for $1 million, no money down option that we subject to a 12-month agreement. And the backing to all this is if it doesn't go through and it doesn't work, we can just hand it back. The option doesn't lock us in to purchasing the property. We can pull out at any time. What we lose in that is our time that we spent doing this and the money we spent on architects and architectural design and all that type of stuff. That's our calculated risk because I've done these developments before. There's no reason why this shouldn't go through. But there's always that element that it might not, or in the time frame, we might have to extend the option agreement or something like that. So basically, yeah, with the approval and just from what the guys were saying before, that's just up the yield to 2.4 million. So even if the LVR is 65%, the bank will owe me 1.5 million for that land with its new valuation. I only need $1 million. So do you think they'll loan me the $1 million if it's 1.5 LVR? I think it's pretty good chance. So then that's what we're banking on, is this upping its value, then the bank assessing the new value because it's an approved design, and then we handing over the money at that stage to the owner.
Can the owner at any point go, oh, it's worth that much, I want to actually sell it?
No.
It's locked in. Is it like
It's locked. It's a contract. It's literally like you've bought it.
Okay.
But what we can also do to back that up is put a caveat on the land. Yeah. So we're allowed to put a caveat on the land, and basically that caveat will stop him from doing anything with that land.
And is it written into the contract that if for some reason you have to pull out, you can pull out?
Yeah. So the option agreement outlines all those details. Yes, your solicitor. Yep.
Is it a standard option agreement? Like, where do you get that agreement?
Yeah. So my solicitor is actually they're from Queensland, so you don't have to use people from where you are. The solicitor that I know is from Queensland, and they do a lot of these type of developments. So I looked for someone who's very savvy in this area, and I would suggest that for all your consultants. So if you're going to get an accountant, do an accountant that does property, do all those things. So all those realms, they have to be savvy within those realms. And yes, it is a typical option agreement type scenario, but it's then tweaked to reflect what we want, the 12 months. So it was actually 6 months initially, and then if it's not approved within the 6 months, then it's an extended 6 months, where we're in the first maybe 3 months at the moment before submission. Yeah.
Just interested in the vendor's motivation in that scenario, because they're sort of locked into a year where they have to, you've got a call option obviously on the side. And we see a lot of these where it's a put and call option where they also have the option to force you to make the acquisition. It sounds like in this instance.
No, it's not. So basically, well, in their eyes, I suppose, because they're in retirement age, they want the thing sold, but they're obviously sitting there for 7 years. They haven't bothered going through the process or maybe paying agents, because there's no agents fees here. Yeah. So the money that they're getting is maybe more than what they would sell with an agent, because they don't have to pay agents fees, but it's less than what I'm going to be buying it for, because we don't have to pay for agents fees either. And the period of the 12 months that it gives us, that's interest free. You're not paying interest on anything. You don't own anything. You know what I mean? You're not paying $1 million property, spending 6 months doing exactly what we're doing now, and within that 6 months paying 6 months worth of interest as well. There's none of that. So there's no risk of that.
How difficult was it to explain that whole process to the guy selling?
He was quite savvy with that. Like, he was maybe in his time one of the most prominent developers in the town. I think he owns half the town, like street here, street there, that type of thing. Old school, hardworking man that just accumulated a lot of wealth, and then a couple of things just went astray, and then But now I think they're just wanting, and it's timing. Obviously, they want to get rid of stuff, and we want to buy stuff, and we both came together, came to an agreement that they're happy to wait the 12 months, knowing that it's a fixed deal, and we're happy to wait the 12 months because we know we're going to get our design potentially approved.
12 months feels like a week.
100%. Yeah. It's been 3.5 months now. We're literally about to submit the proposal next month. Just waiting on a couple of other consultants to do their bits. But once it goes in, council states 3 to 4 month period, that we're allowing 6 to 7. So we might be at the cuff of the period that we've agreed to.
So how do you get the value increase to 2.4?
That's our assessment on that size of development that it should increase to. Yeah.
So that's not a bank valuation.
No, that's not bank valuation. No, it's our own feasibility from works that are done for previous developments.
Also an approved DA.
Correct. Yeah.
So
But even if it was a mill, even if it was 2 mil, it's still appreciated more than what we're looking at paying it. And as long as it's higher than the LVR, even if it was just 1.5, that covers the bank's requirements for a 65% LVR. So, maybe I'm painting you a pretty picture here, but no. The 1.5 is the key. So as long as it's above that, which it should go up more than 500K for a 54 unit development plus a hotel, it more than covers the cost. So the reason why we went this type of scenario as well, because there's no hotels in Cooma. So you got to look at the demographics. There's only the motels that I was talking about before. They're all decrepit and really run down. Just nothing. No, not one hotel in Cooma at all. So this will be the first of its kind. It's only a 38-room hotel. But in our design, if I go back to this one here, this still work? Yeah. So this lower floor is all commercial. There's going to be a coffee shop with provision a coffee shop in here. We put a laundromat in here. So for when you go skiing, mums, you all nodded your heads because you clean all your clothes before you go home. And then over here, we've got proposed possibly like a best and less or something like that for the demographic, because there's nothing like that there. If you want to buy a pack tracksuit pants, you've got to go an hour to Canberra, that type of thing. So we're in discussions with best and less at the moment to see if they want to move in there as well. These 2 floors here are the hotel floors, and there's 2 floors above. Don't be deceived that that's an actual floor. It's just for the architecture that we took out those windows there. They're residential. But if there was the demand in through the so obviously when we put it in for approval, through the approval process, we're going to start doing our homework on, are people interested? We're going to put it out there and say, what do you want? We're in conversations with a broker that sells commercial tenancies, and he's an expert in hotels. So he's got a big connection with hotel chains. And we're going to put the proposal to them and see what they want. If they want to grow another floor or 2, we can, because the floor plates are exactly the same. Everything lines up. All the structure, everything, we've designed it in a way that it all lines up. So we need to take a floor of units out and put an extra floor of hotel rooms, that we can. Or if the hotel doesn't work at all and we only want 1 floor, we can bring it down a floor and then so we've sort of designed it in that way as well.
Just rent the whole lot of Snowy Hydro.
What's that, sorry? Well,
yeah.
Yeah. So funny you say that, because the whole first floor on this side and the second floor, we did have discussions with Snowy Hydro about this, and they said we like this type of floor plate, which is a 1-bedroom apartment with its own facilities and its own kitchen and stuff. So we literally designed the first 2 floors for Snowy Hydro. So they're 1-bedroom apartments. There's 11 apartments on each floor, so there's 22 all up, and they've got to go through, quite a bit of red tape within themselves to release some properties that they own, and then come into town and maybe purchase or rent those. There's definitely that option, and there's that intention that we did with our design to facilitate that. And if it doesn't, it's a really good investment property for someone, because you get good rental yields over the winter period, 4-month period, 84 days at $300 a night. You're doing pretty well. We've looked into all of that. The top 2 floors on both sides have a mixed use of like 1-beddies, 2-beddies, 3-beddies. So for downsizers who are living on a farm, who now are sick of mowing lawns and doing what they got to do, but yet they want to be in town, there's prospective purchaser there. So once again, this is what I've taken a photo of before, but this is your team. Okay, so you're the builder, your contractors you've got to have a list of. Property solicitor, property accountant, planning consultant, which is your town planner. So your town planner knows your council documents better than they know themselves. Him and the architect, when we did Massey Street, the first one, they were the first 2 guys, as you saw. I had them involved in the process. I didn't even look at purchasing the place yet. So they give you the insight. With the town plan, they'll know it inside out. Yes, you can do this. No, you can't do that. Try this, try that, that type of thing. The architect will also have a lot of experience in doing a lot of these developments, and he can design them in a certain way so that he can make it work. They're the 2 main guys that, if you were to do something like this, I'd suggest or recommend for you to bring them in as early as you can, because they can really save you a lot of money and a lot of time, because if it doesn't work and you bought it, it's like, what are you going to do with this now? You've got to find a use, okay? But those 2 guys definitely are key. Your QS, which is on the site that we haven't even submitted a proposal for, we got him involved early. I want to know how much it's going to cost me, and how, realistic to this day type scenario, not 5 years ago or even 2 years ago. 30-40% rises on things is a massive difference to get wrong in feasibility. Okay, so we've been through this a bit. Like I said before, we like to have at least 3 exit strategies in place. The typical ones are you buy, you value add, you sell. That's like your renovations and all that type of stuff. Quite simple, but very effective. You build with the intention to sell. Just build, sell. Easy. Build to rent, which is what we're trying to do. We're trying to create passive income I'm sure you would want to do the same. And where you can, build to rent, for me, is the better option because it's long term. That's part of your super. And there's no pension for us, so we could create our own. So option the whole property and then on-sell it. That's one of our exit strategies for the larger development. And then be flexible with the options because today it might be this, but tomorrow it could be something else. So don't just be stuck in, no, but I was going to do this and that's all I'm going to do. No, you got to be flexible with everything we do in our industry. I mean, in construction, it's no different. If you're too strict and rigid, you're just going to give yourself headaches and you're going to lose the control you think you have over something. You got to have that flexibility in everything you do. Okay, there's a few examples that I come up just quick off the top of my head that you could possibly be getting into. Like number one is, I think most builders do this, is have your existing, buy an existing house, move into it, one that has potential to doing a duplex or doing a one at the front or one at the back, that type of scenario. Live in it for a year, so as your primary residence, okay? Then you get a design approval while you're living there for one at the back. Get that approved, and once it's approved and ready to go, you sell the one at the front. There's no tax implications on that. You move into the one at the back. While you're finalising it and moving in, you do a subdivision application and you subdivide both lots before, obviously, you sell the one at the front. Then once you've got subdivision in place, then you move into the one at the back, which then becomes your primary residence. You live in that for over a year, and then you sell that and you find someone else, another one somewhere else. That's the most tax-free method of making it, creating your stepping stones. Okay? The short options, which is what I was talking about before, start practicing finding sites and doing these things with sites. And if you find really good ones, short option them. And what I mean by that is find them, grab them, and on-sell them to someone who wants them. You do nothing. You're just literally finding the site, doing the agreement, and passing it on. So there's no risk in that. There's just time spent. But it's education time. It's you practicing what you need to be doing for yourself and getting to that next step, helping you get to that next step. Option with the DA only and then on sell, which is literally what we're looking at doing in our second development. The renovate, purchase, value add, and then sell, which is what my client did. And I don't even think he meant to do it. It just situations changed and he made it happen. And then knock down rebuilds, do duplexes like those samples that I showed you before. Okay, in your booklets, there. Just go with the upfield, don't think too much about them. It's just a fun quiz to give you a little bit of perspective of where you feel you're at the current moment to start doing developments. It's definitely not as difficult as the last task we had. I sort of got confused there and let him give me the answer. Okay, so once you've done that, go back through your answers and count all the yeses, and then count how many questions I've given you and do a division so that you can work out what percentage of yeses you've got. So just so you know, there's 18 all up. So how many yeses you've got? If you've got 9, you've just passed. You got those? Okay, let's start with 40%. Anyone got 40%? No? Don't need to go lower? No? 50%. Who's got 50? All right, so he's halfway there. That's good. So you're already halfway to becoming a developer. And 60%. How many have got 60%? 70? 70, a few 70s? Yeah, nice. 80. That's it. That's our new development crew right there. The 80% mark. And 90? Who's 90 or 100? There we go. Come join me. You can join my team. We can work together. So look, that's giving you a quick insight, a fun insight on where you feel you're at. And look, to be honest with you, don't look at the yeses. It's the no's you want to look at. Which ones did you say no to? Who can help you with those no's? Who can bring you up to that level that you need to be at? That's what you need to look at, because the yeses, you're there already. You get those no's right and you get those no's up. You don't need to know everything. I don't know everything. I'm not pretending to know everything. I'm literally just telling you what I've literally done and how I've done it. And have the right team around you, and they'll take you and guide you through the rest of the process. It's about team. Good people and good guidance that definitely take you through the process. So there's 6 pillars there that basically I try to outline there for you to look at. It's your sourcing skills, what skills you have in sourcing sites. We've been through that already. You know where to look for them. You know how to find them. Your planning skills. How do you plan for all these things? You get the right people involved early. You go through the processes. You plan by data, knowing what you're looking for. Your funding skills. You can go the normal realm, or you can have no money and go another path. So that's not an excuse anymore. I had that excuse for many years. It's just not one there. You can do it other ways. Yeah, it's going to take a few goes. You're going to learn from the process, but that's the whole point. The more you get yourself into this, the more you get yourself out of your comfort zone. Now, I'm out of my comfort zone right now. I don't do this. This is not me. If 6 months ago you said I was going to do this, I would have said no chance in hell. But I'm standing here. It's him. Talk to him. That guy at the back there. Yeah, Kurt. It's just, you need to do these things. You need to get yourself there. Where do you want to be? Where do you want your family to be? Now, I know what I want for my family and myself. That's got to be the most important thing to you, to drive you to do this. No one likes doing this stuff. No one likes exercising. You can see I don't exercise very much, but you need to do it. It's discipline. You need to have that discipline to make things work. You don't want to be the guy that has the gym membership and doesn't go to the gym. You don't want to come to a course, spend $1,000+ on a course and do nothing about it. Put it in the drawer tomorrow and forget about it. Why would you want to do that? I'm here to tell you what I've done and what I should have done so that I can show you what you can do now. It's all in your mind. It's all in your own self to make it happen. So mindset, that one shouldn't be last. That should be number one. 100%. Okay, a couple of tips. This is just from my experience, okay? use a QS to cost your jobs. I mean, in my bigger job, that's like no brainer. You have to do that. But why do something? I mean, you're a builder. You're doing that job. Get your QS to do your smaller job, give you whatever. You'll get return on investment on these things.
Can I ask you
They're
a question?
current.
I've not used QSs.
No.
How do you gain confidence that they actually ready?
You try one out and then you throw them. It's like staff.
Okay.
You get staff in,
Yeah.
within 3 weeks, you know
Okay.
whether you want to keep them or not.
Okay.
And most people keep them anyway because of other reasons. But really, in, out,
Okay.
they're no good. It's got to go.
Yeah.
That's my experience.
Yeah.
And I learned the hard way.
Yeah. You don't.
I kept people over Christmas period because, it's Christmas, is that, whatever. And then the month later, they left. So I just carried costs for 3 months to try and be nice because I feel bad. And then they left anyway. So it's business. You got to have that business mindset when it comes to those things.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. So bring in your town planner and your architects early. Make sure you have enough funds to complete a project because that's key. But it can be one that can be skipped and can fall over very quickly. But there are options. You got the mezz finance. A worst case scenario, pay 20%, get the job done. There are options that are there. There's always solutions to all your problems. Okay, look and find what the council wants. Give them what they want so you can get a better outcome and a quicker outcome. Don't assume anything. Have at least 3 exit strategies, but an extra one won't hurt. So B, C, and D. Okay? Leverage if you have a mentor. Plan for the worst case and hope for the best case. That's just life in general. Okay, these are the risks these are my risks that I've found. Okay? I mean, one of my biggest fears was paying too much for sites and knowing you just got to know your market and where it's sitting. And look, and sometimes you're going to get it wrong, but there's options as well. Instead of, possibly having in mind, I'm going to sell this product. I bought the site sheet, it cost too much. Well, keep it for a little while. Let the market change, do something else, and then bring it back again. So there's ways to get around these things. You always got to do your due diligence. You can't cut corners on items like this. Due diligence and feasibilities, you have to do right from the get-go because that's literally governing your outcome. Okay, your build costs. If you don't like doing quick estimates, just talk to Kurt. He can get you onto the guy that does ProCal. ProCal is a program that in 15 minutes you can do a quick estimate on a house renovation, whatever, and it's within 10% realm of where you need to be. So if you have a product like that and you're doing your FISO on two duplex, and they're going to be 4-bedroom plus study plus this, you just add all those things in and it'll give you a quick analysis of that. It's time saving. It's going to get you what you need at that time. Holding costs, you got to try and get in and out as quickly as possible. As quickly as possible. I'm saying that and I've held a job for 3 months, but things happen. Yeah, they happen. But I've got a 12-month buffer, which you got to allow for as well. Things do go wrong. It's going to happen. You just got to be ready for it and be mindful of it. Okay? Construction variations, but hey, you're all builders. You'll be charging yourself a variation. Okay? Contingencies, 5% minimum, I would say. 10% if you can, and if it still works, great. And downturns, hold instead of sell is like a solution for that problem as well. So there's always options. You just be ready for them. Okay, I think we've got a bit of time, but we'll try and get this done. But this was like a little exercise I wanted to put together. This I did I think it was last Friday, because you do when you're just sitting around on the computer. I like finding sites. I like looking at possibilities. I'm a bit of a dreamer when it comes to these things, but hey, that gets you these sites. That's how you find them. So this is a coastal site, not far from where our residence is. We're walking around this very part of the ocean, and I saw the sign, and I went and Googled it and looked at it and spent, I think it was 25 minutes on the computer took a few photos, did a few sketches on my iPad, and saw what scenarios I could come up with as a prospect. See that you can do this, then option it and on-sell it to someone else. It's not like I'm going to ever do this job, but it's skill. You're learning skills, and you're getting fine-tuning your skills. So basically, what it is, does this work? Okay. So this is the existing house. Okay. There's 1 bedroom at the front here, living area, 2 bedrooms at the back. It's quite simple. It's quite a simple house, and that's sitting at the front here, just in here. This part here is the garage. It's got the best view of the water you can ever imagine. It's the garage. So what do? I've redesigned this. I've blanked out all this stuff, and I've redesigned this to a 1, 2, 3, 4 bedroom or study, or 3 bedroom study with an ensuite and a bathroom. Split the garage off altogether and did put a self-contained unit there with a massive view of the ocean. That in itself is 2 tenancies now. So that gives you great rental yield, yeah? So that in itself should cover long-term costs of the property. Now, I think the property they had on the market is like $1.8 million, okay? So you're upgrading the existing, you're value adding to the existing, you're adding an extra income to the existing, which should help you cover those costs. While you're doing that, you then subdivide the back, because you can subdivide up to a 550 square meter site in this area, which allows you to subdivide the back, sell the block to someone, or build it and sell the thing as a house and land package. The block is sloping like this, so the back site has the same view that the front side has, maybe better. Okay. So there's just a quick live physio analysis that I wanted to put to you, and we might get to that and do it on Stash in a second, which is now. Oh yeah, it's now. All right. So that's the end of the presentation, but we're going to do this quick physio, okay? And that's us. So, and just get straight into the nitty-gritty type stuff. And it's just, it could be development management as well. If you find a site, you do your own thing, you can engage us to then help you with the process. We're happy to do that. But note that down. If you're interested, let me know. Go to the website, and there's a page at the back that's of contacts, and just put development and put builder to developer in the contacts, and then we'll get on to you from that. Okay, so now we go to, hopefully this comes up. Why didn't this come up?
Did you do your own rendering? Or did you
Yeah.
use something else?
No, they're our renders, yeah.
Did you, which
It's in.
program did you use?
Pardon? Lumion?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I've got,
Yeah, we use Lumion. Oh, that's my background. For some reason, this is not liking the internet. No. It's not picking up the web page for some reason. That's just my background. I'm on
Are you trying hotspot or?
mate. No, I got Wi-Fi. I got the Wi-Fi from here. Oh, maybe I'll just turn this.
Mirror into your screen, or has it extended out to the settings?
Oh, possibly, yeah.
You might be able to drag it across to it.
Oh, okay, gotcha. IT guru. But now I can't see it. Just wait. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, good idea. Yeah. Display settings. Does that work? No? No, it's made it worse. I thought you come in to fix my IT issue. I saying awesome. He knows what to do.
Stop the table for you.
Yeah.
I'll just put yours in there. Come on the second.
Duplicate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that one.
What are you trying to just get the intro?
Yeah.
Oh,
There we go.
got it. You just needed someone to come up.
Yeah, I was just getting you out of your chair, mate. Keep changes. Okay, this is the site that I just showed you. It's actually, for some reason, it doesn't come up properly, but it's actually that site there. Okay, but this is also Stash. Okay, so you have a dashboard here. So this dashboard will show you, once it gets itself ready, that's how many properties I've viewed in the last 3 years. Okay, what I've added to my pipeline in the last month, how many letters I've sent out, but in previous months, it's just, and the good thing about this program is that once you find the sites that you want, you can send letters out directly from this program, and you can set a template, how you want it written, what you want it to say, and all that type of stuff. So you can basically go in here, find a site, pick. There's another site that I've been looking at. The reason I will pull back from this because that whole purple zone is heritage, and then this is the site here. The house was on the side, and then we were looking at putting maybe a house on this side. This is in Yarralumla. It's very high-end type part of town in Canberra, and that site there, it's worth good money to prospective buyers. But that purple zone, that if you're looking here, so it highlights your zones. So if I take that off, there's no zonings. This is the Canberra zonings. So then if you've got to know your zones, this is why this is important. You can also highlight your flood zones and turn it on, turn it off, and it'll show you where the flood zones are. Same thing with bushfire. You can highlight that, but obviously there's no bushfire here. Heritage is the other one. See, I took it off. So it tells me straight away before looking at it that this is a heritage zone. So we can still look into it because, like I said before, heritage wouldn't have been a bad option for us at Massey Street. But here it might be. I don't know. We would have to look into this as an option. Go to the town planner and say, yes, this is heritage, but if we subdivide it, does that maintain that side of the site only heritage and this side we can build something on? They're the questions we'd be asking. We'd get an architect to do a quick sketch on what can fit on that block, that type of thing, before we even make an offer, so you know what you can come up with. Biodiversity also is picked up here, and it can show you what zones have biodiversity requirements. So that's that side of the plan. And on this side, you've got find on-market products. So I was looking around as well. You can actually, if I go back, so you can filter it. So you can put a suburb, you can put a strategy in, what you're looking for. Are you looking at find a discounting, a forced sale, renovation type strata, all that type of thing? I think this part here doesn't work that well in Canberra because it's more, I think, created for Sydney, Melbourne, the bigger regions, maybe even here, where you can click on those and be very specific to what you're looking for. Okay. And then
Just maybe not 100% related, but just my curiosity, it says the vendor financing. How do you get this? Is it AI-based sort of program?
Yeah.
How do you find this vendor?
There's I think this is all potential for vendor financing.
Okay.
And that's one we didn't even touch on. The vendor can finance your whole development. They can keep the site because they own it. I mean, I've even known of properties that have been on-sold with the current loan that the owner has. And yes, it gets transferred to a new person as well. You can have that. And then you can look at the price range that you want to be looking at. You can see how many bedrooms, bathrooms. For me, it's more about the areas. If you have certain areas in your precinct, like in ours is 800 square meters before you can do a subdivision, then you start looking for 800 plus size block lots. The zoning, you can literally ask it what type of zoning, tell it what type of zoning you're looking for, what zoning they're in, and it will show you those properties. Okay. Yeah, and you can sort them all out, find results, limited to whatever you want, all that type of thing. But if I go to this other site, this is a site that I looked at very early in the piece because I live very close to this property. Initially, it was just this house here, and it was in an RZ3 zone, which is actually you can do up to 3 stories in this area, but it was just a residential area. And the site was quite large. This could have been bought maybe 5-6 years ago and just rented out. And then this is another house, brand new house that's been built beside it, and it's now strata titled. Okay. But they took the plunge, they made the move, they made it happen. So then see here, it tells you the zone, RZ1, but it's a suburban RZ3, which means you can do this type of development. And it tells you the size of the block, it was 1170, the frontage, so it gives you a good 26 metres. Typically for a duplex, that type of thing, you want 15, 16 metres, typically depending on what area you're in and what your council requirements are. But it would pay a lot for you guys to look into these, study them, see what you think works for you. And I'd recommend, if you're serious about what you're doing and why you're here, one of these would be an essential item to pick, because this does everything for you. It can show you the sales, current sales in the area. It gives you insight on the current property, where it is, and if it was on All Homes or any of these, you click on here and all these sites come up, and you can just click on the site and it will show you the house, if it's on market, off market, what its median price is at the moment, and if it was for sale, it'll go through it'll show you plans and everything specific to that site. And they've added a lot of extra things here now as well. You got the suburb profile, so you can profile the whole suburb and know what the demographic is, what the median pricing in that suburb is, how many dwellings are in that suburb, all that type of stuff. There's a lot of good data that this gives you, what the sale pricing, what the current pricing is now. Then look, it's gone down, so maybe it's the right time to buy now, because when everyone's afraid, you've got to be more aggressive. Market activity, it shows you what houses around the perimeter, what's getting sold. You got the planning information, which I showed you already. DAs is a good one, because in this current area, it tells you what is actually in a DA. Again, looking at approval process right now in the surrounding area, so you can see what other people are doing around you and what's getting approved, what's not getting approved, that type of stuff. So it's a very, very powerful tool. And the last one that I want to touch on just quickly is the feasibility. You can click on your site, tell it what you want to, what you're looking at doing. Where is it? And then, yeah, so you can tell it what your purchase price is, and then it will calculate a lot of the feasibility for you. Okay, so there's a lot of the prompts, and all, you fill in all the prompts and tell it what you want, what you're doing, what interest rates, all that type of stuff, and it will just do a feasibility study for you on that development. So you go through here, how many square meters, what your purchase price was, how much public space, depending on your council requirements, all that type of stuff, how many blocks or splits you want to do within it, what size they'd be, all that type of stuff. And then, yeah, it's very, very powerful tool. And as preliminary insight onto sites, it's very good. Okay, that's it. Hopefully you learned something.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, guys. So that was the first time Claudio's presented at one of these events. And I just knew it was going to be amazing. So you guys
really?
enjoy that? Good value, eh? I know you did because I did as well. Took plenty of notes. And going to start looking for some options.
Yeah, look, for me, it's literally just outlining to you what I've done and what can be done. I'm sure you can do much better things than what we're doing here at the moment, and there's no reason why you can't. There really isn't. My biggest takeaway that I want you to have is your mindset. Please don't do what I did. Don't spend 5-6 years dreaming of doing this and doing nothing.